Welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast, a mix of both solo episodes and expert interviews. Our ideal listener is an early career, ambitious, and passionate online language services provider. She is committed to professional growth and achieving success in the fiercely competitive translation and interpreting industry. She balances multiple responsibilities with resourcefulness, values mentorship, is open to learning, and investing in her professional development journey. She embraces technology and seeks to optimize workflow, eager to connect with like-minded peers and build out her professional network. She is determined to overcome challenges and become a sought-after freelance translator. And here's your host, medical translator and translator business mentor, Jason Willis-Lee.
Phill Tomlinson is a proponent of leveraging virtual assistants, VAs, to streamline business operations, enhance efficiency, and deliver top-notch service. His ability to attract off-market listings, navigate the complexities of the retail, office, and industrial sectors, and implement effective VA strategies sets him apart as a trusted resource for clients worldwide. All right, welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients, the podcast that makes digital marketing both easier and more enjoyable by blending smart business strategies with just the right touch of tech. I'm your host, Jason Willis-Lee, digital marketing specialist, and today I'm very excited to introduce my very special guest, Phill Tomlinson. He is a dynamic CRE, which is a commercial real estate broker, and he has a very fresh and innovative take on the real estate industry. Phill, it's fantastic to have you on the show. Welcome. Can you start by sharing a bit about your business journey and your unique vision for where the U.S. commercial real estate industry is headed?
Yeah, I've been doing real estate for 24 years.
Wow.
And I primarily help investors who are looking to buy, sell, or get their buildings leased up in the commercial real estate sector, primarily in office, retail, and some industrial. And things have been going well. The last, I'd say, right before COVID, I had a partner who was doing really well with me. He was a junior broker I had trained up, and he had helped me land close to $20 million in sales. And he loved the training. He loved what I was showing him. And he goes, "Hey, Phill, this was amazing, but I want to go bigger and better." And within 2 days, he left my company and went to another company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which left me hanging because I had a lot of clients in the mix and I needed some help. And I had a buddy out in California who had said, "Hey, Phill, we had hired some people from the Philippines. You might want to just check it out." I had nothing to lose at that point. And also COVID had just now started to hit. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting really sick. And that was a little bit scary, touch and go there for a while. Yeah. And so I needed some help. And so I brought on my first person from the Philippines. And literally, it was unbelievable, the kind of help that he provided. I had him, a lot of us in America here will dip our toe in the water. We're nervous, right? Should I hire someone for 5 hours a week, maybe 10 hours a week? And I had done some research. I'm like, if I'm going to hire somebody, I want to do it right. And I watched quite a few videos, read a couple of books. There was nothing out there at the time for commercial real estate. It was just generic, hey, if you need help, here's how you can hire someone from the Philippines. Here's some best practices. One of the things they told me was you don't want to hire part-time. You don't want to hire a few hours a week. You really want to find somebody and give them a full-time opportunity.
Yeah. And
they said because in the Philippines, it's difficult for them to find full-time work. Many of them have to juggle 2, 3, 4 jobs to make ends meet. And a lot also, you might not be aware of this, but in US dollars in the Philippines, the average right now, I think, is $1.79. I'm with a company called Corfac. We are commercial brokers throughout the world. We get together twice a year for best practices. Well, one of our affiliates is in the Philippines. And so I had a chance to hang out with them, talk with them, and just ask them questions. And they said, yeah, you'll find people where most of the people in the agencies that are out there here in America, when they hired the people from the Philippines, they're typically paying them less than $3 per hour. So the advice was, if you could hire someone full-time, Now they don't have to juggle 3 or 4 jobs. And if you can pay them more than what they're getting paid locally, you have now double, tripled, or quadrupled their income overnight. And this is an opportunity they don't want to waste. They don't want to lose. And so they are dedicated, they're excited, they're motivated to just do everything they can to help you succeed. And so that's what I did. I ended up starting the person I was working with at that time. This was 4 years ago, $4 per hour. And he was ecstatic. He had full-time work. And within a year, Jason, he helped me double my business. And it was great too. He had a background in journalism. He goes, "Hey, how come you don't have a lot of blogs on your site?" I'm like, "Because I'm not a background in journalism, and it's just something I never had the bandwidth for." So he jumped in and helped me create over 70 articles. And there's like a 10-80-10 rule I like to use, where I'll give them 10% direction, topics, what I'm looking for, what I think would be helpful for, someone to learn. And he jumped in on the 80%, and then would come back and say, "Okay, what do you think?" And I would then tweak it, give it back to him again. And so I had to only spend 20% of my energy on each article. He took 80%, and 80% of anything that I'm not doing is awesome.
How much did your Google ranking increase the before and after, before he started writing blogs for you? Do you know what position you were, and then when he finished what? But surely your ranking would have climbed the rankings.
Yeah, and there are some people that are really attuned to where their Google ranking is and where their Google ranking goes to. I had never even looked at my Google ranking.
Right.
I wasn't even trying to rank, honestly, Jason, in Google. All I was trying to do was just get as many clients through the door.
Yeah.
And, in commercial real estate, if you were to say, "Hey, Phill, I want to buy, let's say a QSR, a quick service restaurant, retail investment," right? And you're like, "I want to spend $4 million. I want to have the tenant be there for 15 years or longer. These are my favorite, restaurant chains." I have to then stop everything I'm doing, jump in the computer, put together a research for you, and then look at that research every day. That was the training I gave my virtual assistant. So now he was looking for properties for all of my investors based upon what I set up, told him exactly how to do it. And what that did for me overnight is, we all have the best intentions. We're all busy. And you're asking me to help you find something. And I'm like, "Sure, I'm going to jump in and find it." Well, if I have 15 of you, right, all looking, there are times where by the time I finally find the property you're looking for, it's now been on the market a week, week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. By that time I call up to ask if it's available, it's gone. Like there's already been multiple offers. We lost our opportunity. So having my virtual assistant jump in, and now he's not just doing blogs, that kind of stuff for SEO. He's now actually looking for clients for me. And I was able to pretty much make enough commissions to pay for his annual salary for the next 15 years within the first 5 months.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so he was now putting properties in front of my clients. And as soon as they raise their hand and say, "Hey, I'm interested, I would like to, look more at that property," that's where I get involved. Now I'm talking to them. But what's funny is every investor on here was thinking it was me, right? Sending them emails saying, "Hey, this property just hit the market 2 hours ago. Do you have any questions? Do you have any interest?" That kind of thing. So there was enough success with that we ended up bringing on a second person from the Philippines. And her name's Teresa, and she is fantastic on the phone. Like, she has really good English communication skills, very articulate, and she likes to test, and she likes to say, "Hey, this is how many calls I made." And so, real life example, we gave her a script. She played with that script, and she came back after 3 weeks and said, "Okay, I've now made close to 500 phone calls. And I don't like how these two things are working. I don't feel like I'm getting enough response from the client."
Right.
So we've now put together 5 versions of that same script. And sure enough, she did the same thing on cold calls. She was now putting us in front of investors. She was also getting us listings. And so we went from having roughly 12 listings up to over 45 listings. And if you know anything about commercial real estate, the more listings you have out there, the more inbound calls you have. We had so many calls coming in because of all these listings. We had to bring on junior brokers. And so we ended up growing our team to 1, then 2, then 4 junior brokers just to help us manage all of that work. So needless to say, there's other aspects too. We brought on another person from the Philippines on our team. His background is website design. And, when I first built my first website, I paid a company quite a bit of money. They put us on, I think, Squarespace, which had a lot of limitations, but I paid for that one $7,000. And then I had another buddy in New York, and he goes, "Oh, you should hire my website guy." So then I went away from Squarespace, jumped into WordPress. That cost me, I think, 12 grand after everything was said and done, hosting fees, monthly, they had a $500 per month fee so that we could have them make changes. So with my person from the Philippines who is now doing website design, he has done a better job than those other 2 website companies did for me. And my first site with him that he built, which you can go in and look at today, LeveragedVA.com, cost me a total of $1,300. Wow. And it's better, more customization than I could ever dream of. And he's available all day, every day. And we then had him create a brand new website for the actual commercial site. And so to get to long story here, I had so many commercial brokers in the Corfac industry. We go do these twice a year, these conferences, and these brokers are asking, "Phill, how did you do this? Like, how are you growing your business?" Like many of them with COVID, they're like, "I'm having my worst year ever. I can't get anything to close, and I'm having my best year ever." And so they were just all asking me, "There's no way you could have a person from the Philippines help you. They're not licensed. What could you have them do?" There's a big disconnect there. And I saw an opportunity where I could help my buddies, let them know exactly what to do. I put together a 6-week live last year. And this was just 6 weeks, apples, to apples, everything you would need to know, right? A few of them took that information, hired their own VA, loved it. The majority of the people who jumped in on this 6-week course, they were like, "Hey, Phill, this is a lot of work. Is there any way you could make this a done-for-you program where you find us the virtual assistant so we don't have to go through all these steps?"
Right.
Do you have like any kind of scripts you could give us like you're using? Do you have any email templates? And so this year in March, we decided to put out a done-for-you program. And so this is where we actually get the broker, his back office all set up, all the software he needs to use, how to pay them, all the necessary documents for taxes here in the US. Also, we find and source the VAs. Teresa, who's on our team, she's a part of multiple groups in the Philippines where all of these virtual assistants come together and they all talk and they're all helping each other. We've also used sources like Online Jobs as well. And it was amazing where she was like, "Hey, Phill, we could actually find these virtual assistants for these commercial brokers." And being a commercial broker, using virtual assistants for a few years, I know exactly what things work and what doesn't work. How do you hire? How many hours you have them? Are they doing cold call 8 hours a day? We suggest no, have them cold call 2 or 3 hours a day. So we then train the virtual assistant that we find and source for this broker, and then we train them in commercial real estate. We have put together an entire leveraged VA community where now, if you really want to have a career as a virtual assistant, working with commercial brokers in the US, we have put together a course that trains these people in commercial real estate. So they just get, integrated a lot faster for these brokers.
And then how do you ensure seamless communication, Phill? How do you communicate with your VA?
Yeah, we're communicating, Monday through Friday, all day long. We use Slack is our biggest tool.
Okay.
We're using the free program. They have some other advanced tools you could use, but we never use them. There's 2 aspects of the Slack we use, which is part of the free plan, and it works fantastic. They also have a small huddle, which is like a Zoom, right? That you can do with two people. If you need an entire team, we recommend you have Zoom. So we use Zoom to do a weekly recap every other week on Monday. And then the opposite Monday is a strategy session. And so this is set in stone. It's the same exact time every Monday. One week is a recap of what's happened in the last 2 weeks. The next one is a strategy of what we should be doing for the next 2 weeks. And then we also have one-on-one Zoom meetings. For us, it's 10 a.m. here, Arizona time, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we don't have a Zoom meeting on Wednesdays or Fridays. But my partner and I, we decided we wanted to have kind of some one-on-one time. So my partner, Eric, decided to do a strategy call with Teresa on Wednesdays, just him. And then Teresa and I do a strategy call on Friday. So Teresa's hanging out with us. She's our team manager. She oversees everything. And so we are literally talking with Teresa 5 days a week, Jason. So it's as if she's like sitting in the office right next door, and we're just talking throughout the day. She works our hours. These people in the Philippines, you'd be like, this is a night shift. Are you okay with a night shift? Because honestly, I'm not okay with a night shift. But what we found out is we tried to say, hey, Teresa, you don't have to work the night shift. If you just want to, cross-reference a couple of hours, right? Maybe early morning for me, which would be, late at night for her, or maybe late in the afternoon for me, which is in the morning. And she goes, no, I do not want to do that. She goes, I've been working the night shift for years. My body is used to it. I actually prefer the night shift. She goes, plus I want to be available 8 to 5 your time. So anytime you need anything, I'm here. I'm on my job. I'm working,
What
And
would Phil? What would a sales script look like for a VA working for an online language service provider? Because my audience are freelance translators, they're freelance interpreters. What would an online sales script look like for cold calling? So I had a fan, a subscriber. Her name's Natasha. She lives in Belgrade.
yeah,
She asked me, shout out to her if you're listening, Natasha. She asked me about VAs, and I referred her to a couple of companies, one owned by the head of the membership that you and I are in.
yeah,
And I'd like to get out some kind of idea of the kind of tasks that can be leveraged by a VA for a freelance translator. I haven't yet got, because I work with a freelance translator a VA in the Philippines, and she
yeah.
hasn't yet done cold calling for me. I'd love her to get onto that. What kind of tasks other than cold calling would you be able to leverage, and what would a sales script look like? What kind of is it a P2P general, just very conversationally type script, or is it very sort of sales directed? Could you just paint a picture of that sales script for us, for my
Yeah.
audience, please?
First, I'll talk into the cold calling and the script question. My recommendation, if you're going to have somebody, is they're asking questions. And you just put together the best questions that help you find out, is there even a need? Do they even need anything from you? Our scripts are quite simple. If we're having her call commercial property owners, and we don't even know if the person who answers the phone, do they even own the building? So that's our first question. Do you even own this project? Yes or no? If they say, yeah, we own the project, well, that's good, because now we can categorize that we have a valid name, right? We also double check their email address. So now we have a valid email address. And then we go into the second question is, hey, would you ever be open to selling your building? If we had a person who was looking to buy. And if they say no, that's okay. We're asking, hey, would you like to ever expand your portfolio and maybe buy more? Right. And so we just keep asking these questions to find out if there's any type of a need. If they say no to that, we're asking, hey, the buildings that you currently own, do you need any help having us fill them up, lease up space that are vacant? And a lot of times they'll say, actually, yeah, I've got 2 or 3 vacancies I can't seem to get leased up. Could you help me? And then we're also, if that's a no on that side, then we're asking another question. And this is more service-based. Would you like us to introduce you to a really good property manager? Because if you own a commercial building, chances are you have tenants. And these tenants are sometimes hard to manage. And so if you have a professional in place, like a property manager, your life could be so much easier. But a lot of times, if you get a really bad property manager, things don't go so well. So we're asking, would you like us to introduce you to someone? So good questions, and then just seeing if there's anything that you could do that would be of service. So I think that's the best way for the virtual assistant to come in, is really they're just kind of getting the pulse of where this person is at. When it comes to what are some things that a virtual assistant could do that could transform your business. Now, this is for any entrepreneur who's out there. It doesn't matter your commercial real estate, you're doing translating, is we all have to deal with emails. And I would say the first thing that you want to do, and it's the first thing that I actually did, is I had my VA help me learn how to manage my email database. I get a lot of emails. I have anywhere from 300 to 400 emails per day. Mm-hmm. Some of it's personal, not a lot, but a lot of that also is spam, right? And people advertising. Mm-hmm. And then there's other emails where people need me to respond to them. And so what they would do is I put together, I call them micro tutorials. This is where you record your screen. It's pretty simple to do on Loom or Screencast or any other kind of free software. And then I would just say, hey, here's how I organize my emails. And I show them the folders I have and how they're broken down. And then I say, these emails like this are emails that are personal. Put them into this folder. I'll look at them later. We created a folder in my database, my email system that said for me to review. And so if my VA came across an email, didn't know what to do with it, put them in that folder, right? And then I could go back to it later. And then if it was just an FYI, someone says, hey, FYI, we opened up escrow on this property. I don't have to really email anybody back. It's just for me to be known. They would know that that goes into my listing folder, and I have the address of every property listed there. And they would just categorize and put those emails where they go. So if I ever do need to pull up that specific property, every email that was ever touched on that property is in there. And this thing alone, just managing my emails, which, by the way, I ended up doing 2 to 3 minute videos for the training, super basic, super simple. And it changed my life. I saved 15 hours, Jason, a week within less than 2 weeks of training my VA to do this. And that 15 hours allowed me to dedicate that for other tasks that bring me in a lot more money. The second thing that they're really good at is database entry for like CRMs. You know, you get a person. So we use a software in the commercial field called Prexy. And this is where, you know, I can put all my listings in this database. And if they touch it, my VA goes into that database, finds that person, adds them as a contact in my CRM, then creates a lead for them, and then creates a scheduled call for me. And so when I come in, I have all these contacts being added to my database every single day. And I already have all my calls scheduled. Now, real quick, I'll go back to the email thing I forgot to mention, is the biggest thing that really helped me in my emails is if I did need to respond, what they would do is they would flag it as important. And in Outlook, there's a way that you can flag your emails. And I would come in and I would see like 33 flagged emails. And I knew all I had to do at that moment was just touch all of those high priority emails versus wading through 300 to 400 to try and find them. So that's why I saved so much time, is because somebody was sorting and also putting in front of me the most important emails to call on. Mm-hmm. So CRM, email, database, cold calling, doing research. You know, if you're trying to figure out who to get in front of, you're looking to figure out how to do leads, right? They are fantastic at doing research. I have VAs, they will go in and they will find contact names. We have a service called LoopNet, and this is where commercial brokers are putting their properties in there. And when you log in, you could actually see that broker's name, that broker's email address, that broker's phone number. And so it's an easy way to get connected, ask questions, figure out what's going on. And so if you are ever looking for leads, your VAs could easily jump in and help scrape databases to find you people that you could then put together and send emails to.
Phill, what's the best business advice you've ever received, or you've ever given someone, perhaps given a VA or received yourself from a mentor? What's the best business advice you've ever received?
All right, I got a couple, but I'll say one that was the best for me was time blocking. And time blocking is not brand new at all, but you know, when you got a wife, you got kids, maybe you got families you want to hang out with. Yep. when I first jumped into real estate, I was working 70 hours per week. I was never home.
Yeah.
My wife was becoming indifferent. She was frustrated. She was raising the kids by herself.
Yeah.
And I was at a conference, and this guy recommended that you have time blocking, and he did a whole analogy. It was great. But bottom line is I decided I'm going to take 3-hour blocks and just dedicate this time with my wife. So we would do a date night in the middle of the week for 3 hours. And then we would do another, kind of like a weekend get together for 3 hours. And that saved my marriage, honestly, Jason. That was like, she was like, you're blocking time out for me, and,
Yeah.
These 3-hour blocks, you have to make them a high priority. I like the word non-negotiable. So when I would have $1 million client say, hey, I want to go ahead and have you come to my property at 4:00. And I knew that was going to prevent me from being home at 5:30 for my date night with my wife, our block. I would say I have to get another client, another appointment that's already scheduled so I could do before. Maybe I could do tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And I would never let anything get in the way of that 3-hour block. And then I took that same thing, did it with my kids. And I'll tell you what, when you tell the kids you're going to be hanging out with dad, and they know it's scheduled and nothing can get in the way of that, they got excited. I was probably into this for 4 years. And I had one time when I had someone really want my attention during that date night. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I've got somebody. And she goes, no, this is my time. And she got really defensive. Like, no one is getting in the way of our block time. Yeah. So it's important for family. But when you start doing it for your business, like my cold calls are 8:00 to 10:00. And that's when I shut out everybody. I don't look at my emails. I don't look at my phone. I ignore anyone coming to the office door. I'm just dedicated to making my calls. My goal is to make 60 to 100 calls per week. That's just part of being in my business. You're doing the right things, right? You get good results. And so I have made those time blocks. As you know, for the virtual assistants, we have also made those time blocks for them non-negotiable. That does not get in the way. I don't schedule tours. I don't schedule other meetings. I make them a high priority. So that's business advice I could give you, that if you can figure out a way to do that and be consistent at it, it'll change your business for the positive.
Phill, any final thought or one key takeaway, just one phrase thing you'd like to share with our audience? Any, in terms of leveraging VAs, any final message, one final idea? Just a phrase, just one idea.
If you're not leveraging the power of virtual assistants, you are leaving money on the table.
That's a good one. That's very powerful. Phill, where can my listeners connect with you to find out more about your work? Where's the best way? LinkedIn, website?
The website for the business I created called LeveragedVA is going to be LeveragedVA.com. And so that's leveraged with a D, V as in Victor, A as in Apple.com. That's the best place to find me. And if you have any questions, you want to schedule a quick call, we have a spot on there where you can jump on my calendar, and we're happy to spend a few minutes answering any questions or talking with you about it.
That's amazing. Thank you. All right, let's wrap up today's episode of How to Find More Direct Clients. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the ever-evolving landscape of language and digital marketing. Until next time, stay on your game. And don't forget to future-proof your career in the AI era. Bye for now.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. You know, as a kid, Jason was heavily into magic, juggling, and ventriloquism. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.